Hi everyone, Sid here back in the bathroom, and it's quite fitting that I'm wearing this wife beater because I would like to offer my thoughts about the Oscars So White controversy. Those of you who haven't already alt-tabbed away will notice that it's all white tonight, baby. So the first thing that I want to do, I want to give a bit of a preamble which will underline everything that I will be saying in this video. The first one is that I am a very strong, deep believer in the right to boycott. I mean, philosophically, it's kind of obvious. The freedom of association is kind of directly associated with self-ownership, so that's kind of easy. And on the aside, it's one of the reasons why I'm an anarchist, because we have so many problems that are complex and really important with really high stakes that are too important to entrust to an organization that I can't boycott. And for those of you who are thinking Somalia, first of all, I'll link to a video where I address that here, but I'll just add the words "without moving." As an example is, as far as my smart devices are concerned, I'm Android all the way, but if I got hit in the head and lost a couple dozen IQ points and then became an Apple fanboy, I wouldn't have to move to another country to switch over to iMac. So anyway, the other preamble that I wanted to add is that, and I've had this position for many decades, I think that juried or evaluated competitions are kind of bullshit. So that's why, for example, in the Olympics, I'll watch both and I'll appreciate the athleticism of both. It's not the athleticism that I'm talking about, it's the competitive element, but I'll enjoy the 100-meter dash way more than I will gymnastics or diving or whatever. So with that, I'll be right back. So bringing this a bit more to the Oscars, and I've been thinking about this for a couple days, preparing for this video. If I was a Hollywood actor, which is bound to happen any day now, I would want an Oscar for sure. I mean, there's too much prestige, and anyone who cares about being the best at what they do must aim for the biggest prize, right? But I would, as much as I would like an Oscar, if I had both, I would feel prouder about getting an MTV Movie Award. And this is another thing I've thought for decades. The cool thing about the MTV Movie Awards is, yes, the nominations are done by committee, but as far as who wins, it's the crowd. It's the consumers directly who gather to cast their votes and say, I think you did a good job, and I think you're the best actor, or I think this movie is the best movie of the year, or whatever. And for those of you who think that what I just said might be conflicting with some things I've said about representative democracy, I'd like to point out that let's say Concussion won an MTV Movie Award. If that implied that everyone had to go see Concussion and that everyone would be charged for a movie ticket for Concussion, whether they actually saw it or not, it would be a different rant. But coming back to this, the main thing that I wanted to explore is the what now element. I mean, I think that, speaking of Concussion, I can see how it's kind of weird that there are no black nominees for any awards. And honestly, it's the kind of thing that's easy to see coming. I did some research on the how Oscar nominees are selected, and it's basically a vote by committee. And the winners are also selected that way. But when you compare that to the MTV Movie Awards, we're talking about 6,000 voters or something along that effect versus millions of voters. So, I am a believer in crowdsourcing in general. So I think that if millions of people had to vote, maybe Will Smith would have been nominated for Best Actor for Concussion, because I didn't see the movie and I probably won't see it in theaters. But when you look at the story, it kind of has that ring of a story that would be Oscar bait. It would seem that whatever Academy would be all over that shit. Oh, and if I didn't mention it, I will link below to an article that describes how Oscar nominees are selected. It's basically popular vote. But this leads to the question, like, what now? Because let's say that, because this is basically what would, one of the options would basically be something akin to affirmative action, which would kind of suck for black actors in the sense that, let's say next year half the nominees were black and half the winners were black too. Let's just make it a coincidence. Wouldn't the person, a black person, let's say, I don't know, Forrest Whitaker, who I've often been compared to. Let's say Forrest Whitaker won an award for Best Supporting Actor or whatever. Wouldn't, in the back of his mind, he'd be thinking like, did I really earn this? Or did I really get the votes, or were my numbers bumped to account for diversity or whatever? Or worse yet, would he walk back to his seat with that, thinking like, oh, I'm the man, and not even have that shadow of doubt in his mind as to whether or not he actually got the votes or not? And the other option is separate awards, which, I'm actually not following this story, but I heard that Jada Pinkett Smith was kind of lobbying for that, like, we need our own awards. And hey, it's peaceful, it's voluntary, you knock yourselves out. It won't change my position that declaring a winner by some committee sucks. Especially compared to crowdsourcing that shit and letting the actual consumers of the movie decide who they thought did the best job that year, or had the best special effects, or all that shit. So, oh yeah, before I conclude, which I almost did there, I just want to point out that this controversy has dramatically increased my chances of watching the Oscars. Normally, I would describe myself as a proud Oscars misser. Of course, in the Twitter and Facebook and social media age, it's harder for me to do so. But back in the day, I would really love learning the following Monday that I had missed the Oscars that night. And I'm like, oh cool, the Oscars were last night, and I'd be kind of happy that I didn't even know I was missing it. But now, with this controversy and the possibility that Chris Rock might be the only black person in the room in front of the camera, I estimated that this Oscars So White controversy has increased my odds of watching the Oscars by a millionfold. Now, I was hesitating whether or not to use scientific notation for this, but I'll kind of point it out just to put this in perspective, because I'm probably not going to watch the Oscars anyway. For clarity's sake, 1 is 100%. So this controversy has increased my odds of watching the Oscars from 0.0000001 to 0.01, which is a millionfold. The math. So on that note, thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would help me a lot. Leave comments below if there's anything that you'd like to add. I'm quite responsive to my comments as of this recording. So thank you very much for watching. You'll find links to my Twitter and my Tumblr under this video as well. So I will see you soon. You take care. Later.